Let's start with a question that sounds like it's straight out of a political thriller. A really chilling question, actually.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Could the very document designed to prevent tyranny actually contain the recipe for creating it? It sounds like a total paradox, right? But this exact question absolutely haunted one of the greatest minds of the 20th century. And that mind belonged to Kurt Gödel. If you've heard the name, you know he was a legend. A close friend of Einstein, a brilliant logician, the guy whose incompleteness theorems turned the world of mathematics upside down. But back in 1948, he pointed that massive intellect at a completely different kind of system, the U.S. Constitution. And the story goes, while he was studying for his U.S. citizenship test of all things, he got completely terrified. He was convinced he'd found a logical flaw, a kind of loophole in the Constitution's code that could allow America to legally, step by step, transform itself into a dictatorship.
So, what on earth was this constitutional glitch that Gödel thought he found? And, maybe more importantly, was he right?
Now, the popular version of this story you might have heard is pretty simple. Gödel proved the Constitution is flawed. End of story. But that take on it makes a huge, and I mean huge, assumption about what a constitution is even supposed to be.
See, Gödel was a logician, so he looked at the Constitution like it was a formal system. You know, like a computer program or a set of mathematical axioms. And his worry was, if you follow the rules perfectly, can you get an outcome that destroys the whole point of the system? He thought, yes. But what if that's just the wrong way to look at the Constitution from the get-go?
To really get to the bottom of this, we need to compare two fundamentally different ways of thinking about what law even is.
Okay, this slide is the key to everything. On the left, you've got Gödel's view. It's formal, it's procedural. Law is a closed system, a machine. As long as you follow the steps correctly, the result is legitimate, no matter what it is. And that makes it really vulnerable to hidden loopholes. But on the right, you have the founder's view. It's different. It's ontological. It says law doesn't create rules from nothing. It recognizes a moral reality that already exists. For them, legitimacy comes from truth, and the system's defense isn't a perfect set of rules. It's the good judgment and vigilance of the people.
So, to put it another way, Gödel's view treats the Constitution like a rulebook. But for someone like founder James Wilson, it was more like an instrument, a tool, designed to protect truths we already know are real. He believed the Constitution didn't create rights out of thin air. It was built to defend pre-existing truths about liberty. It's not the source code for freedom, it's the user manual for defending it.
And this brings us to the core defense mechanism that's built into the American system, what our source material calls the ontological firewall.
Now, this firewall isn't a line of text in the Constitution. You can't point to it. It's the shared understanding that lives in the minds of the people, a collective belief in objective truths about what's right, what's wrong, and what government is for. It's the foundation that the whole political house is built on.
This slide shows you the real architecture, at least how the founders saw it. And notice, the Constitution isn't step one. It's the final step, step 3. The foundation, step 1, is reality itself, those self-evident truths from the Declaration. Step 2 is a people who actually understand and care about those truths. And only then, once you have that, do you bring in the Constitution as the tool for that morally formed people to protect what they already know is right.
So the takeaway is this. Gödel was searching for a bug in the code, but the founders believed the system's ultimate security patch was the user. The Constitution assumes there's a reality outside of itself, a world where inalienable rights are real things, not just some legal ideas we made up. Okay, so that raises a pretty terrifying question. What happens when that firewall fails? What happens when a people loses its judgment? This is almost certainly the kind of thing Gödel was worried about. He saw that you could, through a series of steps that are each technically legal, destroy the whole system. You declare an emergency. You pass some carefully worded amendments. You get the courts to reinterpret some laws. You use procedure to escalate power. You get Congress to delegate away its authority. Each individual step might be formally correct, but when you put them all together, you followed the rulebook straight off a cliff into dictatorship. But here's the founders' ultimate answer to that fear. No formal system, no set of rules can stand in for a people who get it. A perfectly written document can't save a country that no longer believes in the principles that document stands for. The procedures themselves can't rescue you. So Gödel's glitch only becomes a real, tangible threat when there's been an evacuation of judgment among the people. When citizens forget, or maybe are even taught to forget, the moral reality the Constitution is based on, then they lose the ability to spot tyranny when it comes knocking, dressed up in a suit and carrying a briefcase full of legal documents.
And that is the ultimate danger. If that ontological firewall comes down, the entire system can be hollowed out from the inside. It might still look like a republic on the surface, it'll have all the familiar names and processes, but its very substance, its soul, its commitment to liberty would just be gone.
So Gödel's paradox really forces us to answer a fundamental question. What is the ultimate safeguard of our freedom? Is it a perfect, self-correcting document? Or is it a vigilant, educated people who understand the reality that document was written to protect? In the end, how we answer that question defines the entire project of self-government.